always on.
I see that changing depending on how much warm air we can pull into this storm. The element of ice a real threat, and that is definitely the case Monday morning. Brutally cold then as well. A few leftover flurries, just a few, then a break. And then we wait for the arrival of this storm that is coming in. Again, it's a winter storm watch for the city, much of the area, a warning to the north. Sullivan, Ulster, Dutchess into Pike County, you're looking at the possibility of over a foot of snow. That's where we see it start as snow and stay snow. That's the exception. 3 to 6, possibly up to 3 or so in the city. That number will go up a little bit. It all depends on how much warm air comes in. The European has the snow starting by Saturday afternoon. And then watch this line. That's the axis. That's the warm air. So by early Sunday morning, you already have about 10 or 11 inches of snow up in parts of Sullivan and Ulster County. But notice you haven't added much. The problem is you're mixing in some ice. And the concern there would be accumulating ice. Now, the focus of the line has shifted a little north of the city. It will not take much of a shift to bring in the potential for a quarter-inch ice event for the city. That means with the wind and the weight of the ice, you could be dealing with power outages. And then overnight, we start to clear out for that blood wolf moon, but you're going to be howling and not at the moon because early Monday morning, you could see wind chills in the city at 10 below zero, but wind chills in the area could be between 20 and 30 degrees below zero. Again, I would encourage you to take advantage of your Friday, enjoy it. Take advantage of your Friday night. Saturday night, if you have plans, remember the city may get a break with rain, but you have to be prepared for changing precipitation types and then gusty winds, and it's a brutally cold wind. So for the holiday on Monday, 16 will feel like 0. It's a lot.
Yeah,
we'll do a Facebook Live. We'll do it right after the show and go through some of the other models, but it's going to be tough.
All right, John. Thank you.
Tomorrow on 48 Hours, a Nashville music executive launches a podcast to bring attention to the unsolved murder of his beloved step-grandmother.
He's hoping a relentless detective and cutting-edge DNA technology can help crack the nearly 3 decades-old double murder case. 48 Hours' Richard Schlesinger has a preview.
I was 10 years old. The phone rang. Something was wrong. Very wrong.
In September 2017, Jason Jones launched a podcast about a vicious crime that haunted the community of Starkville, Mississippi, and his family.
That call was about my grandmother. She was dead, and not just dead, but murdered.
It was Labor Day weekend, 1990, and Jason's step-grandmother, Betty Jones, had been staying at her friend Catherine Krigler's home when there was a knock on the door. Sergeant Bill Lott.
Betty goes and answers the door, and then he attacks Betty, and then he kills her. He immediately went toward Catherine, strangled her, thought he killed her.
Catherine survived that night, but died of her injuries 2 months later. Sergeant Lott believed that advances in science would eventually solve the case because they had the killer's DNA. And this past summer, Lott had that DNA profile sent to Parabon Nanolabs, which is a pioneer in using DNA to predict a person's appearance.
You remember the moment when the picture revealed itself on your computer screen?
It's like, now I know what you look like. I'm going to get you.
Parabon was also using other methods to try to catch the killer. And this past October, the Jones and Krigler families received some surprising news.
Never in a million years did I think that we would get answers so quickly.
Do you have anything to say?
Well, 48 Hours correspondent Richard Schlesinger joins us now. Richard, I want to cut right to the chase. Did they catch the suspect?
Well, they think they have their man. He's not been indicted yet. There's a grand jury down there in Starkville working on this case now. But boy, I'll tell you, Chris, the way this case unfolded over 28 years is quite a ride.
And pretty amazing when we talk about that DNA technology, Richard.
It is. I mean, they're now able to take little strands of DNA that they find at the crime scene, compare it to millions of people's DNA, and hopefully, I mean, with any luck, narrow down the search to where they get a name and then a suspect. It's unbelievably tedious and detailed work, but it works if they're lucky.
Richard Schlesinger. Richard, thank you so much. And you can watch Richard Schlesinger in Knock Knock on 48 Hours tomorrow night right here on CBS2 at 10 o'clock.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.